Dear participants all over the world, nice that you are watching again. And thank you so much for all your questions and your remarks. Thanks also for all your messages via LinkedIn. I'm still in the process of answering everybody at least once. If you haven't heard from me yet, please have a little bit more patience. I promise I will react to you too, but it takes me some time as a lot of you contacted me. Let me go over a few of the very interesting issues you raised in the forum. Richard, for instance, opened a discussion topic on the applicability of the method of discourse in different cultures. He says, this method seems to suit the Dutch model of polderen very well. That's a great question, Richard. Thanks so much. The method as taught here in this course has its roots in the operations research early last century and has very thick roots in a systematic engineering approach to issues. It evolved over time, of course, so it suits many more situations now. Your idea, Richard, that this method suits an approach in which people sit around the table and come to an agreement is true, of course, but it fits many more situations. Some better than others, of course. The method itself is neutral. It does not have a particular goal of bringing people together or come to an agreement. It's just a method of getting things explicit. If it has a goal of its own, then it would be that decisions are taken instead of not being taken. And this decision making can be done in many different ways also, in a hierarchy, by voting, by a group of representatives, by polderen, as you indicate. And in any of these situations, the method can be useful. When decisions are taken in hierarchy, still the dominant person needs information to base the decision upon. The method can provide this, and not necessarily by involving or asking other people. When decisions are taken by a group of representatives, they also need information. And by applying the method to its full length, the group might gain some support from stakeholders for their decision. I've seen this method being applied in different formats in many different situations. Sometimes very briefly, like only formulating a few dilemmas to get to the heart of the problem, or quickly creating just a problem and solution space to get the confidence that the issue is solvable. I've not yet encountered a situation, also when very politically loaded, that this method in some or other format did not prove to be useful. It's my personal opinion that as long as you realize the shortcomings if you leave out elements of this method, you can apply it in any situation, in any format where it helps you. The method, as I presented to you, is also a choice from a very elaborate set of techniques that all can support decision making. I wouldn't stick too rigidly to it, but use it to help people or yourself further in the process of analyzing situations, deciding upon what to do and implementing. Another very nice question by Javad is what you do when major stakeholders have conflicting criteria. Javad gives the example that stakeholder A wants to reduce R&D investments, while stakeholder B wants to establish an R&D center. Great question, Javad, thank you very much. This is usually the reason why you apply the method in the first place, and people disagree and the process gets stuck. Now there are two things here very important. The first is that criteria in itself cannot conflict. A criterion is used to measure. The criterion here is amount of money. And one stakeholder wants a higher amount while another stakeholder wants a lower amount. So the goal of one stakeholder is different than that of another. But the criterion, that is how it is measured, is the same. And the second thing, much more important, these two stakeholders do not disagree on the criterion so much, but on what to do. One wants to invest in R&D while another wants to use that money clearly for something else. The trick of the method is to make explicit why people disagree on a particular solution, such as in this case. Therefore, the method takes one step back and does not initially consider solutions, but consider goals. So in this particular case, it is important to find out why someone would like to establish this R&D department. What does stakeholder B want to reach with this R&D department? And what does stakeholder A want to reach as he is so opposed to this particular solution? I think that bottom line, most people disagree about solutions, and the method in reaction to this helps to make the goals explicit that are behind these solutions. You create a bit of maneuvering room in doing so, which might help in finding other courses of action instead of focusing on this particular one, and keep arguing about it with others. Now, another issue in the discussion forum was introduced by Le Bonheur. I hope I pronounced the name correctly. Also, this one is a great question. Thank you so much for bringing it up. I can imagine a lot of you going over this in their own cases. It's about including stakeholders in your analysis. With hindsight, your analysis can prove to be not elaborate enough, that you missed a few perspectives and, as a result, might have gone for an option that appears not that well suitable for the situation. I think in essence you ask how you can know when your analysis is elaborate enough. Well, you never know for sure, but there are things that can help you with this. What I personally do a lot is listing my stakeholders and then categorizing them. So I have different categories, different sets of stakeholders. And then I force myself to come up with a few extra categories that are not yet there and identify a few stakeholders that fit these new categories. Also, I ask friends and colleagues to give me a new perspective on the situation that I don't yet have. These people might not be stakeholders, but they can help me identify a new way of looking at the situation. If at a certain moment all new stakeholders and all new perspectives that I identify do not deliver new objectives or new dilemmas, then I assume I have grabbed the essence of the complex situation. Now, the thing you have to find here is that everybody has the tendency to quickly jump to conclusions and then only collect information that supports that particular conclusion. Translated to this issue, make sure you don't think too soon that you know what the situation is about. I purposely organize meetings with people that I know from the start will disagree with me and that they will introduce a new perspective of the situation that I have not yet identified. Some of my friends, some of my colleagues have a really different view on the world, and it are these people that I invite for such counter-perspective meetings. Quite a lot of people discussed in the forum how to deal with issues around personality, around ego, fears, power differences, cultural issues, sensitive issues, and so on. The analytical method in this course is one of the elements that you need to master, to my opinion, to be a good and useful leader. It makes things explicit, gives you explicit information, gives you ideas about stakeholders, gives you a lot of concrete options and their comparison. So it's useful without any doubt, but it's not enough to be a good leader. I teach a lot of leadership courses and a lot of programs, and I supervise and coach a lot of leaders like managers or directors. Analytical support for solving complexity is one thing, but we work on a lot of other things in parallel. They need to know about leadership styles, about how they want to play the power game, about doing good business administration, making strategy, creating mission statements, providing a vision and a direction for their subordinates, deal with sensitive issues and many more things. Somehow it is as if they play a lot of chess games on different boards of chess altogether, and that each of these games influences all the other. Learning about all these different issues might even be the smallest of their problems. Much more importantly, they have to find out who they are personally and how they think they are going to use all this knowledge in the situations they encounter. Every time this is a personal issue, every time the outcome is different. There is, to my opinion, no such thing as one size fits all or a guru recipe that you can follow. As a leader, you have to find your approach that works for you in the situations you encounter. So I would say learn from everyone, but decide for yourself how you are going to approach your leadership. This analytical approach is one thing, but there is much more that can all contribute to the quality of your leadership. Well, dear participants, that's all for now. I will continue watching what you are doing in the course and may record another video to reflect on issues you discuss in the course, in the fora, at a later stage. For now, all the best in whatever you want to achieve, both in and outside the course, and I'll see you another time. Bye bye.